Hi, I'm Jarrett Lee, and I'm happy to present our work with my co-authors, Bongshin Lee and Unkyung Choe. The health of the human body often responds well to a balanced and consistent schedule, and so several systems exist to notify users towards regularity in sleep, hydration levels, medication intake, breaks, and other health factors. Systems like fitness trackers, medication reminders, and others help us maintain a schedule for health alongside the numerous distractions in today's world. However, the same distractions that make it hard to maintain a health schedule also make it difficult to respond to these health notifications. For example, being in a Zoom meeting can be the cause of you missing notifications, and it can be the reason you can't act on a notification that you receive. So how can designers create health notifications that accomplish their goal amidst these conflicting obstacles? Increasing the number and intensity of alarms would definitely make our message harder to ignore, but that leads to messaging fatigue and wouldn't reflect the actual urgency of the notification. For instance, the need to take a pill within the next 2 hours should not warrant a loud alarm every 10 minutes. Prior researchers have investigated ambient information systems to help with this problem, using a non-distracting notification style to message the user without breaking their attention. One example was 2005's Breakaway sculptural system that silently changed its shape to reflect the amount a user was slouching to encourage upright posture. However, an interesting comment from the participant was how she could easily ignore the system if she were too busy. Good in this non-critical situation, but possibly unacceptable in others. If ignoring the ambient notification escalates the criticality of the health need, such as a user in danger of skipping an important medication dose, it should be reasonable for a system to act beyond its ambient behavior and even demand attention. To support this scenario, we characterize the concept of Ambient-to, or Ambient-to-Disruptive technology. These systems initially act as an ambient information system, but contain the capability to increase notification levels to disruptive states if the message becomes more critical. This works well for events that do not need to be performed immediately, but must be completed eventually. For example, if a user has a 2-hour window to take a pill, early notification can be ambient. Even if this ambient notification is missed, there is still a good amount of time to be compliant with dosing instructions. However, as time progresses and the recommended dosing period is in danger of being missed, an Ambient-to system can increase its notification levels to eventually demand attention. Few works have been done in systems that shift between ambient to disruptive notification levels. Additionally, these works predetermine the triggers for notification escalation rather than examining when users wish to be disrupted. We wanted to explore this area, but asking questions about this solely theoretical abstract concept would be a difficult task without a concrete example. To investigate this concept, we took a research through design approach, first creating experience prototype artifacts to conceptualize Ambient-to technology. We engineered a set of shape-changing interfaces and designed them to look like popular houseplants, both to reflect the symbolism of plants and health and to allow them to easily fit in a user's environment, adding to the ambientness. To explore multiple themes and noticeability, we chose several designs that could portray multiple motions. Here's our first artifact, Shake Artifact, which shakes its leaves, mimicking various levels of wind blowing through it. This is the subtle shake motion and the heavy shake motion. These motions were meant to explore how differences in distance and speed affect noticeability. The second artifact, Droop Artifact, can lift or drop its stems to various levels. We scripted 4 different motions in this artifact. 2 of them are Heartbeat and Hiccup. These also could be used to represent distance and speed factors, but also were meant to explore motions eliciting emotional reactions from the participants. These last 2 motions were scripted to explore saliency by the comparison of natural to unnatural looking movements. We have here lift and panting. We held semi-structured interviews online with 10 individuals who had a health-related goal and used a strategy to aid in their adherence. We first asked the participants to share such goals and strategies, then introduced the artifacts, gathering the participants' reactions to the concepts and preferences for notification. We also explored how they would react to the artifacts being used in various scenarios, such as receiving a disruptive notification while busy on a Zoom call. Due to interest of time, we present here a subset of the themes generated from our analysis, and we invite you to read our paper for additional depth. Our first research question was, when do people accept escalated levels of disruption for health notifications? As expected, we discussed activities important to one's health, but not all situations warranted disruption. For example, some considered hydration important for health, but not worthy of being disrupted for. But activities meant to prevent acute injury, or those that were time-sensitive, were considered disruption-worthy. Another common theme throughout many interviews was a wish for circumstantial factors to be analyzed before using escalated notification types. Several noted that if they were busy during the day, they would not welcome an escalated notification. Having the ability to monitor their status could be a way for Ambient-to-Disruptive systems to give disruptive notifications at an appropriate time. While learning when users would be receptive to an escalated notification type, we also sought to discover if our shape-changing interface artifacts were suitable for portraying Ambient-to-Disruptive notifications. As one would expect, smaller, calmer motions were effective as ambient notifications, and larger and quicker motions were seen as disruptive. The ability for these shape-changing interface artifacts to shift into each meant they were suitable for use as Ambient-to-Disruptive technology. But we also learned that the plant-mimicking design of the artifacts influenced participants' reactions in several ways. Horticulture knowledge based on countless generations of humans and plants coexisting meant that participants understood how plants react to light, water, and care, and similar motions in these artifacts could piggyback on this knowledge for their interpretation. One common interpretation was of the various motions that put the droop artifact in a downward position, which led to participants viewing the plant as dying. This was accompanied by very morose reactions, so strong that many felt they wouldn't use such a system. These reactions were explained as being caused by sad reminders of former failures in plant caretaking, or even mirroring the empathy extended to the participants' own houseplants that had gone ill, reflections of the relationship between humans and plants. An even stronger reaction was that coming from the panting motion. Many participants mentioned reactions similar to the discomfort stemming from the uncanny valley. Perhaps you were feeling this as well. Comments of it being creepy and scary led to some participants also rejecting this motion for their notification type. One theory for such reactions is representational dissonance, or discomfort when an object's actions clash with the appearance-driven expectations of the object. This concept came from participants mentioning how the movement was not what they expected to see in a plant, violating their expectations. To the best of our knowledge, this is the first time such uncanny reactions were seen in a non-zoomorphic representation, and perhaps further research could use artifacts like these to isolate various aspects of the uncanny valley. Interestingly enough, this unease was not a universal reaction. In fact, a few participants felt calmness from this panting motion, like P1, who described it as relax time, and how it reminded her of a shoulder massage. Seemingly, users' prior experiences greatly altered how they responded to the motion. It brings up questions such as, could this be extended to alter the response to the uncanny valley? During our interviews, we also came across several themes related to their physical and standalone form factors of the artifacts. Participants mentioned placing these in areas that normally would not be accompanied by a computer, which offers both benefits and disadvantages. A common wish throughout the interviews was for the artifacts to have multiple uses. Because the artifacts take up valuable physical space, this needed to be alleviated by the added value of multiple functions. Several mentioned portraying multiple health goals in one artifact or even summarizing various health statuses. However, one built-in secondary use in these artifacts was how they provided decoration. Because their design mimicked houseplants, something people already use to decorate their home and offices, this meant that the artifacts could also do the same. In fact, the aesthetic went beyond simply adding value. It also offered a reason in extending the use of the system. When interest in the notification functionality of the artifact drops, its secondary ability to provide decorative aesthetics means that users could be willing to keep the device around. This could prolong the use of the device, perhaps to the point when interest in the system's initial function returns, a concept we call disinterest buffering. Having these secondary uses to counteract the natural fluctuations in interest levels might be a strategy designers can apply to keep their systems in prolonged use. Again, we invite you to read our paper for more information in these and other themes, as well as our discussion on areas of caution, insights in designing physical systems like shape-changing interfaces, and avenues for future research in Ambient-to-Disruptive technology. Thank you for your interest.